Is the salon world coming to an end? Is everything about to crash down around you? All on today's podcast. Let's figure it out. Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show. Today's podcast is brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel. Welcome to today's show. I'm Jason Everett from the High Performance Salon Academy, and with me, as always, for the Evo Revo Show is my partner in crime, Mr. Doug Campbell. What's up, Doug? Good to see you, man.
It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, dude, we were just hanging out not that long ago at the America's Beauty Show in Chicago. We were just both hanging out together, back to live events. It was really fascinating, actually, being at a live event and seeing people going to booths and conferences and classes. Like, you know, we did our live event, Doug, back in July, right? We did ours in July in Nashville, back to doing some live events. But this was the first beauty show we've actually been back to. What was your take?
It was interesting. I mean, the biggest thing was no matter where people came from, the vaccinated, masked, the whatever that was, universally, people were just excited to see each other, in person. I mean, it was like that was the overall, and like I said, regardless of any of the other stuff, it was that I'm so glad that I'm able to see people in person. And of course, it wasn't nearly the size that it normally is and all that stuff.
Sure.
It really was good. And we realized that there's people that we used to always see out at shows and on the road and all that stuff that we haven't seen in a year and a half, 2 years. And it really was good to connect with people all around the industry, from salon owners to other people that work around and in the industry. It was just refreshing to be there and to be able to experience it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this idea of, is the salon world ending? I mean, obviously a little dramatic, but I want you to catch it because, it was really, it's fascinating. Every time I've done something, it's like, when I got back into church, Doug, people are like, it's good to be back. When we did our live event, it's like, it's good to be back. The first conference, like, it's good to be back. Everybody's kind of in this, it's good to be back. But right behind the idea of it's good to be back is this idea of everybody complaining about the world right now. Mm-hmm. If you've seen people complaining about the world, drop a complaining in the chat. Don't drop your complaint. I will delete the comment. But put complaining in the chat, because there are so many people that are addicted to, and I don't, this is not a political statement, okay? But people are addicted to the negativity out there, and it doesn't matter what direction it is and what's going on. And Doug, you and I saw this during the pandemic more than anything else and I'm sorry if anybody who put us on TV ever watches this podcast, but Doug and I were on television, and man, I remember, Doug, the first time you did a TV appearance, they were like, can we get pictures of all your staff in masks behind glass walls, like wearing gloves? And they basically said, how scary of imagery can we get from you to show on television? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. They wanted as much of the world's coming to an end stuff. Right. So.
Yes. I remember it was like they wanted all of the worst stuff possible to show. And the more that we gave them that looked horrifying and that looked scary and that looked like, like it was like part of a hospital, the happier they were on the news, which should just tell you something about how the news works, by the way. I've heard this term before. The news is really good at telling you, here's the worst things that happened in the world closest to you, right? Like, ta-da! And it becomes the centerpiece of focus on the negativity, right? You get focused on this negativity, and then you watch the news and people go, oh my God, the sky is falling, the world is ending. And it's like, it's all of this panic that gets created by this. Now, I shared this quote this morning, and it says, I'll read it verbatim because it's actually from a movie. It's one of my favorite quotes, Doug. I've used this quote so many times during Little Voice Mastery, but it says, let's see if I can pull it up. Hang on, I want to make sure I read it exactly verbatim because I feel like it's worth the verbatim read. It says, "You must realize that fear is not real. It is a product of thoughts you create. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice." Right? That's actually from a movie, a Will Smith movie called After Earth. There's a great scene that goes on with this. But this idea that fear is not real, it's a product of the thoughts that you create, right? And that danger, of course, can be real. Is it dangerous to drive a car? I mean, Doug, you and I have done some dangerous things together. We have dangerously flown airplanes past each other. We have dangerously climbed mountains where you hang on to the side with the tips. Dude, you were mentioning that yesterday. I was getting sweaty as you were recalling touching the side. I'm sweating now talking about it, right? There are dangerous things you can do, but you have a choice to be in a moment of fear or panic, or be in a moment of gratitude and excitement. And you were talking about how to plan out your day and how you can get to a different spot instead of that news, fear, panic world. Can you talk about that for a sec?
Yeah, I mean, because the way that I see it is all the good and bad things in your day are already out there. It's not that it was a great day or a bad day. It's according to what you saw. So I'm a big fan of daily gratitudes because it does set your mindset, and you do have control over your mindset. It's according to what direction you point it in. So you can either point it in. I love sailing, as you can see behind me. So you can either say, look, all that good and bad's out there. Do I sell my ship into the negative and I get more and more negative? Or do I choose to condition my mind to see the positive and sail into the positive world and see more and more positive? So on the negative, I can have a really crappy day and crying my beer at the end of the day. Or I can look at the positive and be, motivated, hopefully motivate some other people, be a positive force in the world, and feel amazing at the end of the day. The exact same day, it's just according to where I chose to sell my ship. And it's like, so when we were at the conference, there were a lot of people that were up speaking, and I don't think they had ill intentions, but they kept wanting to point out why, things were not good and why things were not getting
Salon's revenue's down. Nobody wants to work. It's really difficult to.
You're looking at data and this, that, and the other. And I don't deny that does exist in some places. I don't deny that some salons
You're not delusional.
Right. But in our world, because we're very focused on mindset and, hey, look for opportunity. Don't look for an excuse to quit. Look for an opportunity to win. Because I think that's super important. You can either choose, either one. And so the bad part, the thing that concerns me whenever people get up and speak, is that it will justify someone that's wanting to say, oh, it's not me, it's just the industry. It's and so they don't look for a solution because it has nothing to do with it. It's like, oh, it's just the industry. It's COVID. It's things outside of me. I can't do anything. So I'll just use that as an excuse to sit on the sidelines. Instead of saying that this is an opportunity, how do I best take advantage of this and move forward? How could I reinvent some things? How could I do things new and different? How can I address new problems? I mean, that's what we do, is address problems. We fix people's problems. So it's like, okay, now we got a whole new set of issues that we get the opportunity to come up with creative ways to fix. So you just got to be super careful about what you're listening to and not having it reinforce a negative conception that you have. And so that you can listen to it and say, okay, yes, that's information, but I don't choose to go that way. I choose to look at what are the opportunities here? How do I recruit differently? How do I motivate my staff differently? How do I, it's the whole thing. You want people to work and do things with you because they see high value in it. Not because they have to, not because they're going to get written up, not because they're going to get in trouble, all that stuff. So you go in that mindset, say, how do I create more value for everybody that's in my world? And you go that way, then it doesn't matter what situation you're in. So I say, most people don't. It is a choice. At the end of the day, it is a choice. What you choose to see, how you choose to react, and then you get the results of that. And it's just I choose to look for the positive things. I'm not pie in the sky optimist and everything's just wonderful. And I don't do happy talk just for happy talk. If you've ever talked with me about a serious thing, I will punch you between the eyes with the hard truths.
Yeah, not happy camper, happy camp.
Right. Let's look at how to get a positive result out of this. Let's see how to get something amazing out of this. So let's look at reality with clear eyes, and then how do we get the best result possible? As I do not just give in and say that's just it. That's just well, poor me, poor us, poor Salon, poor where I live, poor whatever. It's I love the challenge of overcoming stuff and finding new ways to do things and bringing a lot of people along with me. That's actually like our high octane adventures. That's what's great about this. Those are challenging. Those are challenging things, and but we choose to. You lean into it. You lean in with other people. You look like, man, you kind of scared. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of scared, but then you push through it together. And I think that's a great microcosm for how to run a business too. You want to have that same connection with the people on your team of, hey, look, yeah, this is kind of scary, but let's do it. Let's do it together. And if you created that environment of high value, they're going to come right along with you. But if you've created the environment of fear and punishment, then people are saying, nope, I'm out of here.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I've heard this before that that bravery is not the absence of fear, but it's action despite the fear, right? It's the action that you still take. It's like, look, it's still scary to run into a burning building, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm going to save that person, right? Like that's the deal with firefighters. They're like, there is real danger involved. And the more you do it, the less fear that gets in there. And I think fear is something that gets programmed into your reality. Like we don't, Doug, a baby is not afraid of a scary clown. Right? They watch a movie about scary clowns and they get afraid of scary clowns. My little guys, of course, I'm going to work this in farm life into the podcast now, Doug. And by the way, we're going to take a break in a hot second, but I got to tell you the story first. My kids are not afraid of snakes. Should they be afraid of snakes? Some snakes, yes. On our property, we just had rattlesnakes that we had to deal with this last week. And there was some rattlesnakes that we took care of. It was no big deal. But the thing that's very interesting is my kids saw these rattlesnakes and they're like, those are cute snakes, Dad. Because they're like, are they going to kill them? I'm like, no, they're going to move them. We're just going to relocate these snakes. And my kids were like, but they're super cute, Dad. We learn by society what we should be afraid of because we learn what's dangerous. But should you be afraid of a snake that can't hurt you? Right? No, like we learn, okay, the stove is hot. If you touch it, we should be afraid of touching a hot burner. But should you be so afraid of touching a hot burner that you never start cooking because it scares you so much that you have the potential to get burned by this weapon that's called a stove? See, there's different levels of like danger is involved, but the choice that you have is how much fear you assign to it. So guys, if this podcast is helping you so far, do me a favor and comment helping in the chat. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk more about how you can get your mind right so you can make sure that you get your profit right, your business right, and you can help other people instead of bringing them down. All right after the short break. We'll be right back.
Hey, HPSA listeners, let me ask you this. Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you on every appointment and watching it chew up your profit? Well, with Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you. Using a mobile app paired with a Bluetooth scale, Salon Scale will tell you exactly what your color is costing you on every bowl mix down to the gram. As you mix, Salon Scale will also digitally store your formulas and track how much product is being used in real time, so you can manage your inventory, cover your expenses, and generate more profit in your salon. Use promo code HPSA10 to get 10% off an annual subscription. Salon Scale, the new standard for mixing color.
All right, so we're talking today about fear as real or imagined. Another acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. That's another really good acronym for fear that I've heard before. And this entire idea was kind of based on this premise that, after going to this last live event, the ABS show in Chicago, we saw a lot of people were still living in the world is not doing so awesome. We're not in a great place. And, it's really bad out there and it's really hard. And Doug, I think you said something really powerful during that last section. And by the way, if you've enjoyed us getting fired up, do me a favor and say fired up in the chat. Cause I am fired up today, man. This is like my topic. Okay. Is that, this idea, Doug, around, I lost my train of thought when I said I got fired up. This idea around Excuses. You talked about excuses. That what ends up happening is that people, when they hear other people and they commiserate with each other about how bad things are, it becomes an excuse or a justification for them to be validated for not having the success, the whatever. Like, I see this all the time. I chat with people live in my Facebook and Instagram Messenger all day long, and I see all these messages fly back and forth when I'm talking with people, and people are like, "Oh, it's really hard to find people here." Is that what you're seeing too? Are you seeing that it's really hard to hire staff? And it's like they're looking for that validation to say, "It's not my fault. It's just the world right now. The world is not wanting to work. The world is not being successful." And as soon as they hear that validation and justification, it like lets them off the hook, right? It like lets them off the hook to like, "Oh, well, then therefore I don't have to find any more staff because everybody's dealing with the same problems that I'm dealing with. So let me sit here and be complacent." And I think what happens is when you're in that pessimistic mode and you're trying to gain other people to believe in the reality that you're in, it makes you stop, right? It's like you're okay not making any progress. But when you're optimistic and you're saying, "Well, look, I know that there's people who don't want to work out right now. There's millions of people that were still on unemployment until recently, right? There's millions of people that are on unemployment." But I'm like, I can either choose to have that as a reality and say, you know what? The best of the best people that are available out there right now all still want to work. And yes, I have to work harder to find them, but I will find every single one of them because I'm glad there's people on unemployment that are not interested in working. Everybody on planet Earth is hiring right now. If you wanted a job, you could get it. Like 100%, dude. I drive down the street and every business like hiring. If you're not working right now, it is by choice. I saw that the other day and I just completely believe that is that if you don't have a job, it's not because you can't get one, it's because you don't want one, right? And I'm sure there's going to be some random person out there that's like, "But my aunt so-and-so has this Okay, I get it. But I'm saying that everybody on planet Earth is hiring. If you're a business, I know you're hiring. We're hiring. Other people are everybody's hiring. So the question then becomes, what reality do you choose to agree to? Do you want to create something better, or do you want an excuse for why you don't have greatness?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that people fall into is like, and I think sometimes people from stage inadvertently put people in this. Are you teaching people how to survive, or are you teaching people how to thrive? Because I think you've got that choice. So you'd say, okay, so yeah, there's an employment shortage right now. So how do I make some adjustments? How do I become more automated? What do I do things that are different so that I can not have to have as much staff? I mean, I have a restaurant also, and there's that industry struggling with employment. So we've come up with a lot of ways to automate from being able to you drop the check off. People can pay with their phone with a QR code. You never have to touch it again, and just little efficiencies that you could do. The way of streamlining the software that we use to get orders to go straight to the kitchen, so it doesn't come through a person first. And just a lot of things that we found. And I think those things are also available inside the salon space. How do you free up the front desk to do more customer service and automate some of the regular tasks that they do? There's just a lot of places where there's some good uses of automation. It's like, so find that right now. So whenever it recovers, you're in the driver's seat and you're not as reliant on as many people needing to work for you. And by the way, that's usually your biggest expense. So in the future, you're cutting your future biggest expense. As I say, it's just either thing. So am I just trying to hunker down and cover up and survive? Or am I looking
wait for something to be over?
Right. Look for opportunities to thrive in it. So how do I make it better? I mean, I don't know. That just juices me. I love, well, I guess I love a challenge, and I just love like looking for ways. How do we make this better? I'm not one that likes to get in the dump and have pity parties and all that stuff, because I think a lot of people inadvertently put on a victimhood. And you said, you feel like you're a victim or you're coming from a victim place. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm positive on this, that, and the other. But then if you listen to their language, it's the language of a victim. Well, no one does this, or I can't get this, and so
everybody else has this problem too.
This victim language comes out, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. I think that's some of the stuff that was coming from stage, is that they were promoting a victimhood mentality without even realizing they were doing it. And your subconscious is a powerful thing. What you feed it is what it's going to live off of. So if you're using that verbiage, you're using that stuff of victimhood, even though if you don't consciously realize, that no, I'm a positive person. I see the bright side, but, and then all the, you start having a conversation. It's like, okay, that was a victim statement. That was a victim statement. That was a victim statement.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for people, but it's like, if you can step back and look at yourself. And Blair Singer's like, little voice mastery starts as soon as you can step outside of yourself and objectively look at how you're reacting to and how you're thinking about things.
Right.
And that's super true and super powerful. If you can step out and say, you know what, I am using some victim language here, and it's as damaging to people around me as it is to me. And so I'm going to be conscious of that and stop doing it and make sure that I'm looking for the things to thrive. Unless you don't want to. I mean, if you let, and it brings me to another point, that there is a dopamine rush in commiserating. There is,
Yes.
it is addictive. It is. It's addictive.
Chemical rush.
I don't want to complain. I don't want. It's like, yes, you do, whether you realize it or not, because you're getting a dopamine rush. You are getting a high, especially if you can find someone to complain or be a victim with. Then that dopamine will release in you,
right.
and you're like, okay. And then you subconsciously again want that. That's the whole problem
so you
with
look
addiction.
for more people to agree with
Right.
it.
Right. Your subconscious wants that chemical hit, and it will do. That's the root base to most all addictions. So just. I don't know if we meant to go there, but anyway.
I know. Here we are. We're both. You can tell we're both fired up. If you can tell, do me a favor and in the comments say I can tell. Hopefully, it's beyond obvious where Doug and I stand on this. And I want to say this too. We're kind of bashing people on stage. It wasn't everybody on stage that was in this mindset. Can I just be really clear? So if you're watching this, you're like, but Jason, I was on stage. That wasn't me. That's totally fine. It probably wasn't you. But what I'm saying is that we heard it, and then people were bringing it up, and it was kind of contaminating the reality. And I think the thing that Doug and I live for when we do our events is to live in that positive, optimistic, how do we roll up our sleeves and get it done? Not that ostrich, like stick your head in the sand and wait for it all to be over. Like we go, hey, how can we proactively deal with this problem? And so much so that we have people who've been in our program, they're like, I feel guilty. Is the salon owners around me are struggling, and we are not struggling. We are succeeding. We're having our best months ever. We're having our best year ever. We have more revenue we've ever had. We have more staff we ever had. And like, I don't know, other people are just not dealing with that because they're choosing to swim, or what do you say, Doug? Sail in that spot. You can, like, you literally go, do I want to sail into that storm, or do I want to sail into that blue ocean over there? And you're choosing, oh, I better go into the storm because that's where everybody else is going. Like, you just get to decide where you want to sail. Because if you think about this for a second, is at any time on the earth there's a storm going on somewhere, you can find it. If you want to find bad news that happened yesterday, I am confident that if you turn on the news somewhere, anywhere, they will show you the bad things that happen. But you can focus on the bad things, or you can focus on the great things. But I want to end on this thought, is that the problem is, you ready for this? Good news doesn't get as good of ratings as bad news does, right? People love bad news because misery loves company, right? You've heard that before, is that people love to hear about the worst things, which is why we actually titled the show, Is the World Coming to an End? Because you will watch that show instead of the show that says, you want to be potentially optimistic for the rest of your life? Please watch this show, because people are hardwired to look for the negativity. And this is the thing I want you to get. You have to work 10 times harder to wire yourself for optimism than you do to just naturally be pessimistic. Does that mean that God, the universe, whatever it is, wants you to be pessimistic because it's very easy to be pessimistic? I don't think so. I think that the road that is harder to create is what God or the universe wants you to be, because you have to make a conscious choice to put yourself there, instead of you can just fall into being in panic and in misery and in doubt and in chaos, right? It's like sitting on the couch and getting fat and lazy is the easy choice. Getting up and working out is the hard choice, but it's the rewarding choice, right? So anyway, I hope if you got nothing else out of this show today, besides Doug and I just being passionate about this subject, because like our enemy is the negativity in the marketplace about the industry, about what's going on, about people saying that the beauty industry is a second-class citizen type of job. And our mission is to elevate the world's perception of the salon and spa industry. But you know what mission we're on right now? To elevate your vision of what's happening in the industry right now. Because right now, there are salons that are winning, that are killing it, that are doing amazing jobs, and that are inspiring other people. And we either want you to be on that list of people who are inspiring with us or inspiring with somebody else, but not on that list of people who say, I don't know if I should close my doors because it's so hard out there. So if you want to be on the bus with us, if you want to move into that positive reality and start creating that future for yourself, do me a favor, send me a DM and say, hell yes, I want to be on the positive side, or whatever version of that you want to say. You tell me in your DM what you want it to be. But we just want to fire you up. We want to get you moving. And I hope you see our optimism and excitement for the industry is on fire because we know it's possible. Doug, anything you want to say as we close out, man?
No, I mean, I just think it's a choice. I mean, wake up, make a choice. Get around a group of people that are going to make that choice with you. They're going to choose to go the hard road because that's the one that's rewarding. I had a mentor say one time, look, it's like the easy choice is almost always the wrong choice. It's the difficult choice that almost always turns out to be the right choice. He was grooming me to be a manager in a restaurant at that point in time. Nice. And it's held true throughout my life. I was 21 years old, I think, whenever I had that conversation, and never forgot it, and have found that has always turned out to be true. And that's why I guess it jazzes me to take the hard choice and win instead of take the easy one and lose.
So if you find people around your reality are bringing you down or bumming you out, or maybe you're the one bumming other people out and you want to change that, get ready, roll up your sleeves. Let's get ready to change. Thanks for watching today's podcast. If you want more great tools like we gave you during today's show, even if it's just a shot of adrenaline right into your mind to say, let's turn that thing around. Let's get rid of those excuses. Do me a favor, check out the podcast, give us a like, give us a rating, and share or tag somebody that you know has been moping around, because that's what we want to do, is fix them and fix everybody else in this industry until we got them all. And thank you guys for being on today. Appreciate all of you. Bye for now.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast. Today's podcast was brought to you by Salon Scale, allowing you to charge by what you know, not by what you feel. Please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.